cannot tell the truth about herself. If the history of this country were written, you would have to say that this country is a nation of thieves.
Why does every African American I know believe that their grandmother had high cheekbones and straight black hair?
I think it's probably a desire to be associated with people who are portrayed in popular culture as fierce warriors and who resisted the United States. And if you're a slave or an African American living in Jim Crow America, who wouldn't want to be associated with someone like Crazy Horse or Geronimo?
It's easier to say, we got a little Indian.
So you make up the myth.
You make up the myth. It sounds much better.
It sounds much
goes
better.
down a lot smoother.
There's a strange sort of security in not knowing a great deal. There's a sense that it's all sort of mystical and lost, and nobody could ever find it, so you could sort of invent any past you wanted to. Well, you can't do that now.
DNA is finally shedding light on one of my family's greatest mysteries. Remember my second great-grandmother, Jane Gates? Jane, a slave, had 5 children with an Irishman. Yet she never told anyone his identity. But not even Jane's discretion, or perhaps her shame, could protect her children's father from modern science.
The history of slavery? Why? Ask the bloody question. Why are they only teaching you the history of slavery as far back as the 16th and the 17th century? Why are they only going that far back? They don't want you to go farther back than that, because then you'll actually find out the truth. But from the 16th and 17th century would teach you about slavery. You've got to go further back. And you've got to understand and question, why did they do this throughout the whole of America, in all the public schools? Why do they only go back as far as the 16th and 17th century to talk about slavery?
Hi family, welcome to my space. And today we are reacting to a video where African Americans are boldly saying they are not Native Americans, they are Africans.
You know what, I find it very, very interesting how so many black people in this day and age are saying that, hey, we're not black people, we're not African, we are indigenous to this land. I find that very, very odd, because I'm trying to understand this whole movement as far as, hey, I don't want to be looked at as African. I'm not from there. I was born here in America. We were always here. And I never understood that. I've had people told me that I'm delusional and that, you know, I'm not from Africa. My family's not from Africa. You know, we've always been here, so and so, blah, blah, blah. I even saw a comment where someone said that 85% of the black people in America are indigenous to this land. Huh. Very interesting, right? Well, I did my family history, and I've been doing it since 2013. And so it's been, 12 years that I've been doing my family history. And I've never run across anything that suggests that my family were always here.
Hey everybody, Professor Moore here. So whenever I'm teaching an American history course, the lynching of Black Americans is one of the darkest and most upsetting chapters that I cover. It's almost impossible to imagine or comprehend the level of depravity and violence that was involved in these cases. And I honestly believe that when you bring an accurate discussion of lynching into the American story, you'll never be able to look at American history the same again.
This is more than just identity talk. This is about history, truth, and the suffering our people have endured for centuries.
In order to have a factual and accurate discussion of lynching with my students, I've spent years researching lynchings, and I've read hundreds of accounts of lynchings from historical newspaper databases, and I would like to share some of the conclusions I found from my research with you.
In this video, they are standing firm. No confusion, no hesitation, claiming Africa as their homeland. And honestly, I respect it. Because for over 400 years, African Americans have been stripped of their names, their languages, their culture, all in an attempt to make them forget who they are.
African Americans in this country are the only groups. They have no culture. It depends on who you meet, where you meet them.
But currently there's not an African American culture?
No.
Yes, there is.
What is it? Name 2 value systems in the African American culture.
Value system?
Yes. Name 2 taboos in the African American culture system. Name two traditions, by the way, in the African American culture system.
Mr. Zanu. See, Mr. Zanu, you're obviously an intelligent fellow, but it's comments like yours that fuel diaspora wars. It's comments like yours that make work like mine frustrating. Because respectfully, you're being intellectually naive, either because you don't want to do the research, or you simply don't want to. You said African Americans can't handle freedom or civil rights because they have no cultural foundation. You said they have no culture. You said they have no taboos, nothing to balance it out. So let me offer you some clarity before you confuse displacement with deficiency. First, I think the question is dishonest. You don't strip people of their land, language, names, gods, and memory, then complain that they can't trace their lineage back to 1462. African Americans didn't lose culture. They forged one in fire. So, Mr. Zanu, here are just some of the values in African American culture. 1. Resilience, the cultural DNA of survival. From slavery to Jim Crow to mass incarceration, they didn't just endure, they built. 2. Collective uplift, each one teach one. From the church to the block, the goal is always bring your people with you. 3. Self-determination, ask Garvey, ask Malcolm X, ask Black Wall Street. Even in chains, there was always the instinct to self-govern. 4. Respect for elders. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. Big mama. Uncle, even if we are not related. Don't get it twisted. That's ancestral. 5. Faith and spiritual power, whether through Christianity, Islam, ancestral reverence, or Yoruba revival. Spirituality is core. 6. Creativity as resistance. Music, dance, style, slang. African Americans turned rhythm and rhyme into shields and swords. 7. Kinship beyond blood. Play cousins, aunties who aren't biological. Because when the system breaks the family, community steps in. 8. Justice and fairness. From civil rights to Ferguson to George Floyd, African Americans don't stop fighting for the oppressed. And then we move on to taboos. Yes, African Americans have taboos too. Plenty. 1. Disrespecting elders. Whether you're 5 or 45, disrespect an elder and you'll feel the culture. 2. Snitching. Beyond street code, it's rooted in survival. If the system wasn't built for you, you don't feed it. 3. Public family shame. Don't air dirty laundry. You protect the house even when it's messy. 4. Coping without credit. Biting someone else's style without acknowledgement. That's a cultural sin. 5. Playing with ancestors. Even non-religious black folk will not speak lightly of the dead or the struggle. That's reverence right there. 6. Selling out. From Uncle Toms to Coons, betraying your people is not just frowned upon, it's named and remembered. 7. Letting the culture die. Whether it's jazz, soul food, or the electric slide at a wedding, you carry it forward. So let's be honest. What you're witnessing is not a people with no culture. It's a people who had their culture ripped apart and built another one in a land that never loved them. What you call lack of foundation is actually unrecognized brilliance. Because African American culture isn't just about remembering where you come from. It's about reinventing where you can go. And let's be clear, African Americans aren't confused about freedom. They are the reason you get to speak freely right now. You, Mr. Zanu.
You are not Native American. In the United States, there was a time where being biracial was not accepted the way it is now. So it was quite common for biracial individuals to lie and say that they were Native American. They did this to survive. Genetic tests confirm, on average, we have far more European ancestry than we do Native. So that light-skinned, fine-haired ancestor that your family keep telling you was Native American was probably just black and white.
When we talk about slavery, we are talking about millions of Africans ripped from their villages, packed into ships like cargo, chained in darkness for months, and brought to a land where they were bought and sold like properties. Families were torn apart, children were taken from their mothers, humanity was denied at every step.
You're Native American who? What? When? You call yourself Native Americans, yet you don't even know your tribe. Where is your tribe? What is the name of your tribe? What language do you speak, your so-called Native Americans? What language do you guys speak?
Some saying, they're staying. They're not going anywhere. That is their land. And I think it's very important for us to open up the discussion that, not all African Americans came from Africa. That is one of the greatest fallacies that has happened. We were a global melanated planet, which means we were absolutely everywhere, on every land, in every country, in every continent, the countries they created. And, there's been so much that's been done because it's a mental reality, it's a mental world. There's so much that's been done to corrupt and rewrite the story, especially when you see the pictures of who they say the native Indians were. But, the Americas were actually it was like Africa. It was a melanated continent, beloveds. And the ones that were taken out looked like you and me.
She begged for mercy. The state gave her the electric chair, and all she did was fight to survive. This is Lena Baker, a black mother of 3 in Jim Crow, Georgia. She worked as a maid for a white man named Ernest Knight, a man who locked her in his grist mill, beat her, and refused to let her go. One night, she tried to escape. He attacked. She grabbed his pistol. In a fight for her life, she pulled the trigger. Her trial lasted just 1 day. An all-white, all-male jury found her guilty in 30 minutes. Her court-appointed lawyer never appealed. On March 5, 1945, Lena Baker walked into Georgia's electric chair, the only woman the state ever executed. She said, "What I done, I did in self-defense. I'm ready to meet my God." 60 years later, the state of Georgia said, "We got it wrong." They gave her a full pardon in 2005. It was too late because Lena deserved justice when she was alive. Say her name, share her story, because silence kills. Follow for more unstoppable women they forgot to mention in our textbooks.
Black people, Black American people, listen. We gotta stop this Indian crap. We have to stop this Indian crap, okay? We have people from the Native or Indigenous American community. They on this app, they calling you guys out. I'm calling you guys out, okay? I understand that we have a long, twisted history, but I'm here to tell you that we are not them, okay? Now, if we want to get technical on the verbiage, okay? Let's get technical on the verbiage. Are FBA, Black Americans, native to the land of America? Yes. Are we native to the concept of what America is? Yes. But that's it. We're not Indians. We weren't running around here with feathers. We're not, those are not our people, okay? This is 2 different races. Did some runaway slaves and some freedmen intermingle and intertwine with them? Yes, some. So that means there's a couple of them running around. But for the most part, can we please stop trying to claim that we are indigenous Indians? Let them people have their own culture. What you're doing is this. The actual Black Indians, like the Yamasee tribe, you take away the validity from their argument because your black ass is claiming to be Indian, and we can clearly see that you're not, okay? You can imagine if I was claiming to be Indian. I'm a Black American, okay? We mixed with a bunch of different stuff, all right? But how crazy would it look if I'm claiming to be an indigenous Indian? It's ridiculous. They know it's ridiculous, and other blacks know it's ridiculous. So let them people have their own culture, right? We don't need to be fighting them for their culture, for their history. We have our own history. We have our own culture. We've done great things. Let's be proud of who we are, Black Americans.
From the plantation of the South to the sugar fields of the Caribbean, African people built the wealth of the Western world with their blood and sweat, and got nothing in returns but chains and sufferings. Even after slavery supposedly ended in 1865, African Americans faced Jim Crow laws, lynchings, sundown towns, and systematic racism that tried to keep them at the bottom. Now I know some African Americans denied their African origin. They believe they've always been here. or that their roots are only in native ancestry. But here's the truth. Many know they came from Africa, and history cannot forget that. A tree without a root is a dead one. And Africa is the root that still feeds our identity, our strength, and our survival. This is why reclaiming Africa is so powerful. If they can cut us off from our history, they can weaken us. But when we embrace it, when we honor the fact that we are Africans, we tap back into a legacy of resilience and greatness that no oppression can destroy.
This conversation is for Black Americans. Why do you claim to be an Aboriginal American Indian, Indigenous to America, when in fact we are descendants of West Africans? From the time I was born until currently, there have been several different instances or groups that have come out and say, you know, we're the real Israelites, we're the real Jews, we're Egyptians, we're kings and queens. And it just proves the type of erasure that the colonial people did to us in America. We are in this country that is the world's sphere, and then Black Americans became the world stage. And so I think we over time had to feel the need to be greater than our story. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with our story and us existing in the Americas because of slavery, but that's not the start of our story. And I think you guys are giving that slavery aspect too much power, so you feel the need to be something greater than that. A lot of these claims stem from the fact that there were people who discovered, I use that term very loosely, there were people who explored the American continents far before Columbus. Abu Bakr II of the Malian Empire, he sent out a voyage of over 2,000 ships to go across the Atlantic, and they never returned. And that's how Mutamanta became that emperor, the richest man in the world. Scandinavians also landed in Canada in the North American continent 2 centuries before Columbus. So people have explored the Americas way before the Europeans discovered the Americas, but they did not settle here. People often talk about the slave ships, and there is nothing more documented by Europeans than their most lucrative entity ever, which was the transatlantic slave trade. It is documented in Africa. The kingdoms that also interacted with Europeans have oral and written history of them capturing and selling slaves to the Europeans. It was so lucrative for them that all of the slaves that were bought on the ships were backed by insurance policies. And some of the insurance companies we know today, like AIG, exist because they were there to insure slaves. Some of the people who captured slaves were throwing slaves off of the ships in order to gain money because they knew some of them are going to die anyway. So let's just kill them so we can get their insurance payment. And these things are heavily documented. It's not, especially when Native Americans are alive and well. I think as Black people, if you, a member of the colonized group in America, add to the erasure of Native Americans, it is the biggest slap in the face, especially because Native Americans document their history so well, orally and written. You can go to a reservation today and go to a Native American library. You can read firsthand accounts of how they lived pre the Columbian period and how they lived once they encountered the Europeans and once Africans came in and encountered with them. Now, it may be true that some of us have trace amounts of Native American DNA or large amounts of Native American DNA, because in the South, when the natives were captured, they were working side by side with the enslaved Africans, and some of them procreated. That's a fact. That's not anything I would ever deny. Who you are, there's power and strength and what we've built and developed here. There's nothing, for me, being a member of the diaspora, there's nothing stronger and more beautiful in every single country that we exist in than the cultures that we've made, the food that we've created, the music we've created, and the fact that we're still here.
Hello. Some of y'all are not gonna like my video, and that's alright. We all are titled to our pen. So this video is for some immature Black America. Let me say that again. Some immature Black America, because some Black America is really awake and some is still immature. And before I began, growing up, I was bullied by a Black American. Yes, I was born in America, but you never really hear me talk about the American side. You always hear me talk about my roots. The more and more I became awake, connected to my ancestry, and learned my DNA, woo, and it helped me understand myself better. So, I've been seeing so many TikTok videos related to the festival in New Orleans. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it really hurt my feelings to see how some of y'all behaving. Some of y'all very mature. I've been to so many events, African, Jamaican, Trinidad, you know, any West Indian you can think of. They never make me feel like that. They always make me feel included. So, some immature Black America, why do you feel like you need to separate yourself? I really want to hear your opinion. I really do. Because we all look the same. They see color first. Why continue to separate yourself? Why? Because even your race is stay African. Let me say, it stay African first. So some of y'all need to really wake up. Some of y'all might be from Liberia. Did you know that America was colonized by Liberia? America colonized Liberia? Do you know that? So I just think some of y'all just really need to research, evaluate yourself, and know who the fuck you are, because you're really disappointing the ancestors right now. And you just need to stop with the nationality. It doesn't matter you have different background, different actor, or different actor. Like I said, at the end of the day, they see color first. We really need to move forward, empower each other, uplift each other. We really do. I have seen so many races. They have their own problem, but they know how to get their together. They do. We the only ones still struggling to move forward with that shit. Why is that? I'm ready to hear some opinion.
Hey, just because we beefing with South Africa don't mean we not African American no more. Like somebody said in my comments that we not African American, we black, we the original native, and he lost me. I'm sorry, because now you erasing Native American history. Like that's just wrong. That's we're not gonna do that. That's what we're not gonna do. We're not gonna do that. Like we gotta pay homage to the natives that were murdered and the natives that are still here and that fled to Mexico, and there's some that got their land back. Like, no, we not the original Native American. We got brought here. We were the original product of America. America's first product that they were selling was slaves, and now we selling anything and everything. But the first product was slaves, y'all. So yeah, I'm not with. We black, but we are not the original Native American. We got to stop this pretending Indian shit. There are some that are mixed with Native American, but not all of us. I took my DNA test, and I'm Sri Lanka Indian, not, Native American.
Whether you are in Harlem, Houston, or Harare, we are one people. We share not just a past of pain, but a future of power. So when African Americans says they are Africans, they are not just making a statement. They are reclaiming stolen history. And the more we speak it, the harder it becomes for the world to erase us. Because a tree without roots is a dead one, and their roots are here deep in African soil. Thank you for watching. This is Mercy Realities.
You know what? I find it very, very interesting how so many black people in this day and age are saying that, hey, we're not black people. We're not African. We are indigenous to this land. I find that very, very odd because I'm trying to understand this whole movement as far as, hey, I don't want to be looked at as African. I'm not from there. I was born here in America. We were always here, and I never understood that. I've had people told me that I'm delusional and that I'm not from Africa. My family's not from Africa. We've always been here, so and so, blah blah blah. I even saw a comment where someone said that 85% of the black people in America are indigenous to this land. Very interesting, right? Well, I did my family history, and I've been doing it since 2013. And so it's been, 12 years that I've been doing my family history. And I've never run across anything that suggests that my family were always here. Everything that I've ran across always suggested my family came from Africa. I even have cousins within my DNA match list who are in Africa, who live in Africa. You know, that means that we are closely related, basically. If they're in your DNA match list, that means that you're either related a little, further down the line, or, they're close, you're closely related to that person. But either way, if you have African ancestry within your DNA match list, all of your cousins and stuff like that, that means that you guys share a common ancestor within the last maybe 300 years, depending on how far back they are, within the last 300 years. So that means that you're African. You have family that have come from Africa, and I have those all over my DNA match list. A lot of people from Africa who I've actually got in contact with, and their family, basically they're saying that, well, they don't have any family that's in America, so that's a telltale, basically saying that, hey, you actually do have some African ancestry within you. And I've spoke to plenty of people. I've done my grandmother's research. I've done my mom's research, my father's research. All of them lead back to Africa. Me, myself, I might look like, that I'm kind of mixed with, some stuff, which I think, mostly, most Black Americans are mixed, mixed around and stuff like that. But some of us have a higher African DNA percentage than others. Mine, I've took my DNA test on numerous sites. All of my DNA tests come back that I'm 90% African, which is way higher than average, because the average in America for the Black American, the average percentage that a Black American has of African DNA is 72.3%. Me, I'm at 90. My mom, she's just as light as I am. She's at 95. My grandmother, she's just as light as I am. She's at 97% African, So our percentage of African is like way higher than normal, and a lot of people who think that they have Native American within their DNA, and their families told them, hey, yeah, we're Cherokee, we're Blackfoot, we are, Seminole or whatever. A lot of people who actually say that, well, my grandparents told me this, my great grandmother told me that, blah, blah. Everyone has that in their family, because it was the same thing in my family, that they told us, like, yeah, we have Native American in our family. Why? I'm thinking it's because, some people might have had the long, wavy hair. Well, Africans can have that too, stories passed down or whatever. But also what people don't understand is that when you have these records, okay, you have these records, you even have the Dawes rolls and everything. You have a lot of people out there who actually put their name on those records so they can receive free benefits. The Dawes rolls are basically the list back, way back when, saying that, hey, I'm Native American, and, they put their information. It was a lot of white people that put themselves up there. It was some Black people that put themselves up there and everything. There were also people back in those days who, all the slaves who actually ran away, and they found settlement within the Native American population, and they eventually became the citizens of that, that nation, and some people will use that as saying that, well, I have pictures of, my grandparents or my great-great-grandparents in Native American garbs. That's proof that we're Native American. No, just like I said before, a lot of them either married into that population or they ran away and they sought refuge in those populations, and they, and that's just how it was. And eventually they said that they were Native American. A lot of people claimed to be Native American. Why? They didn't want to be identified with the Black population, because to be identified with the Black population was not a good thing back in those days. So a lot of people got their stories from that, and it's been handed down that, hey, yeah, we're Native American, blah, blah, blah. When the actual truth is that you're not Native American, but you just have those stories that's saying that, hey, we are, although it's just that, some of that stuff just, happened back then or whatever. But yeah, a lot of people, Black people, we are not, most of us have not been here before the transatlantic slave trade. Some people have. And even with those people, they're also African as well, because, they sailed over here before that. So we got to stop this we are indigenous people and we've always been here type of stuff. And if people want to bring up some past history on that, I know there was an explorer back in the 1500s, and he came here and he wrote down what he saw. And some people misinterpret what he says, because he says that he's seen some people with dark skin. But the thing is that he said, I see the people with dark skin not like the Ethiopians, which were the Africans. He was like, they're not like the Ethiopians, but they just have dark skin. People will interpret that as saying, hey, see, he's saying that there's already black people here. No, he just said that they had dark skin, but they were unlike the Ethiopians. Okay? So, I mean, or the Africans. But yeah, we really gotta wake up and actually do our research and study this stuff, and not think that every single name that we might see on the Indian list, oh, that's my family member, because it's not. A lot of people had a lot of common names back then. Okay, a lot of common names. So I continue to do my research. When I find something, I research it and I dig and dig and dig and dig to make sure that I know that this is the correct person that's within my family. This is the correct documentation that has to do with my family. I've seen so many times on other people's DNA lists, and sometimes I've messaged them about it and told them like, hey, that's not correct. This is actually what it is. And a lot of times they'll change it, and sometimes they just ignored it. But I was like, yeah, that's not the this is the correct person. And I say that because they're a part of my family, for one, my distant cousin, and I knew that line that they have on their tree. They just came to an incorrect conclusion of it. So it does happen a lot, quite often. People find the wrong information for their family, and it's attached to the wrong thing. But yeah, we gotta wake up, y'all. Seriously. And I know this video is long as hell, but seriously, black people, come on now. We African.
You are not an African American. You ain't no goddamn African. You are not from Africa. Nobody in your family's from Africa. You are from right here. This country. And the real name of it is called Tamari. And we are the Tamarikins. That is what our ancestors called themselves. Tamarikins. And I'm going to fix that with my textbook.
Let's look up what native meant in the 1828 Webster's Dictionary.
Tell us.
I mean, since it was the 1800s when they were coming up with these terminologies.
Now remember, when you do your research, you can't take a lot of the things that are being said right now. A lot of the stuff has been reprinted since 2018, 2021, 2020. You have to go back further. You have to look in older dictionaries to get the actual meaning.
Now, native is one born in any place is said to be a native. And in that place, they have offspring. Those are natives. I'll read it again. A native is someone born in any place. And of that place, they have offspring.
She said anyone, not a particular one.
And I said any place.
That's right, any place.
Now, on the flip side, indigenous is used to refer to the people who originally lived in a place, rather than who moved there from somewhere else. And that's from the Cambridge University Dictionary. Okay.
Understand the difference. Indigenous. We are indigenous. We have never and never will be native.
You don't want to be native.
No,
I don't want to be native.
I already know I'm not.
I would prefer to be original. Originally living in a place, Turtle Island. Not native.
Not native.
That could be any place and anyone.
That's right.
See? It's that simple. You are not a Native American. You don't have to be a Native American. Native American was a political party.
Can black people stop lying and saying we mix with Indian? Like, I genuinely feel like that is one of the things that's holding us back as a community. You not Indian, you not Cherokee, and you definitely not Blackfoot. Like, we've been telling that lie for so long, bruh. And it's like, nah, you black. And it's okay.